Aloha, thank you for tuning into This Is Now. I'm Dylan Ancheta. We begin today with the latest information in the apparent chemical attack that happened at Ala Moana last night. Now, Honolulu police are still searching for a suspect. Details are limited, but here's what we know so far. The 25-year-old had been walking on a sidewalk near the Planet Fitness gym at around 9:20 last night when the attack happened. Paramedics provided advanced life support and transported her to a hospital in critical condition. The suspect fled and is now wanted for second-degree attempted murder. These are some images last night from the scene. You can see the victim's personal belongings scattered around the sidewalk and the inside of Planet Fitness.
She ran inside to wash it off. It was very loud. And then on the way out on the stretcher, her face was messed up. Well, it's pretty horrible and shocking, really. And the way it makes me feel is is he still at large? These are things I don't know. I mean, was it a random attack? Was it personal? Could it happen to someone else at any time? It's a scary thought here in Honolulu. An acid attack is the last thing I expected on a Tuesday night at Ala Moana.
Honolulu police have yet to release any details into the attack, including a description of the suspect. Any witnesses are asked to contact them. Earlier this morning, a crash involving a pedestrian shut down Honolulu-bound lanes of Kahikili Highway near Kahuhipa Street. According to EMS, a woman in her 30s was hit and taken to a hospital in serious condition. The crash has since been cleared and all lanes have been reopened. In political news, former President Donald Trump is one step closer to securing the Republican nomination for president. NBC's Bree Jackson is in Manchester following all of the results of yesterday's New Hampshire primary.
We will never forget you. We will never forget.
Former President Trump defeating his lone Republican rival in the New Hampshire primary, moving him closer to a rematch with President Biden.
We've won almost every single poll in the last 3 months against crooked Joe Biden. Almost every poll.
Despite her Granite State loss, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley contends the race for the Republican nomination is far from over.
We still have a ways to go, but we keep moving up.
Haley's campaign has vowed to stay put at least through Super Tuesday in March when 16 states vote. I spoke with NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray about the rationale behind that.
One can accrue delegates and see what ends up happening several months from now, particularly as former President Donald Trump faces a lot of legal challenges.
President Biden beat his Democratic challengers in New Hampshire as a write-in candidate. During a campaign event Tuesday, Biden was heckled by protesters, including those calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. He warned that domestic issues like abortion access are at stake in the November election.
It was Donald Trump and his Supreme Court who ripped away the rights and freedoms of women in America. And it'll be Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and all of you who are going to restore those rights for the women of America.
Presidential campaigns making their case as more voters weigh in on who they believe the nominees should be. Both Republicans and Democrats have their sights set on South Carolina next, where primaries are being held in February. The state catapulted Joe Biden to the top of the Democratic ticket back in 2020, and this time it could be key to a Republican candidate securing the GOP nomination. In Manchester, New Hampshire, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun is on Capitol Hill today meeting with senators. He acknowledges there are many questions surrounding the safety of their planes, but insists they are in fact safe. Chris Van Cleve reports from Phoenix, Arizona.
Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun is on Capitol Hill meeting with senators. Going into a meeting with Senator Warner of Virginia, Calhoun acknowledged there are a lot of questions that need to be answered, but insisted Boeing airplanes are safe.
We don't put airplanes in the air that we don't have 100% confidence in. I'm here today in the spirit of transparency.
This comes as the CEOs of two of Boeing's biggest customers, United and Alaska, express frustration with Boeing over the quality control issues that led to the door panel on a 737 MAX 9 blowing off in flight. Alaska's CEO says he is angry about the quality lapses. United's CEO says his airline has removed some of the 737 MAX planes they were planning to receive from their long-term planning because they don't believe that Boeing can make the delivery timeline. The airlines are also inspecting their 737-900ERs, a previous generation of the 737 that also has that same door panel, to make sure the bolts on that airplane are all installed properly. The NTSB investigation is ongoing. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Phoenix.
Meanwhile, thousands of state education workers could soon be receiving hazard pay. The Honolulu Civil Beat reports an arbitrator has ruled about 7,800 DOE employees are entitled to pandemic hazard back pay. Now, this would be up to 25% of their salary for 2 years. HGEA, which represents the workers, estimates this will cost the state about $150 million. Important to note, this decision does not apply to teachers because there is no hazard pay provision in their union's contracts. There's a proposal to build a new affordable housing complex in Moiliili, but it's right next to a major entrance of the H1 freeway near the Hawaiian Humane Society. Our Jelani Martinez explains why it's drawing opposition.
That high rise across the H1 is over 20 stories high. A similar sized tower is being proposed for this parcel, right next to a major freeway entrance. Neighbors foresee a traffic nightmare.
Kind of traumatic to finally get home and then find out I'm not going to be able to keep the home I found.
Within a month of settling into her cozy home last year, full-time UH grad student and tutor Janessa Maxilum got a letter on her door saying she might have to move out by 2026 to make way for Pahoa Ridge Apartments.
This is a main artery right here in the city of Honolulu.
Right here is right out her front door. H1 westbound on-ramp next to the entrance to UH's sports facilities. Maxilum says the congestion is already bad.
The line just to enter the highways goes way back past the curb all the way to right by Kapahulu area and Kapiolani. Like, it just goes all the way back.
I'm all for affordable housing, but I think it's just a little bit too big, too much, and too dense.
Dave Watase lives in St. Louis Heights. His neighborhood board also opposes the development because of the traffic impact.
So, you have traffic coming around this turn here, and you'll have people basically slowing down to turn into the property, and people who want to get out of the property, and that is a major traffic concern. I really think a project of this density and height should be closer to the rail stations. That's what the intent was.
The developer and the area's council member said they couldn't do on-camera interviews and sent statements instead. The president of High Ridge Costa Development Company, Moi Mahana, says they've been working with the city and state on potential traffic measures, including 2 speed bumps on Waialae Avenue and a safer crosswalk on Kalele Road heading into the lower Manoa campus. Councilman Calvin Say says barriers will also be installed to physically prevent drivers who are exiting the apartment complex from entering the H1 West on-ramp. So residents will have to drive nearly an extra mile to get on the freeway. Councilman Say also points out the project has already been downsized from 28 stories to 23 for a total of about 180 affordable rentals, which is what residents have been asking for. But some say it's just the wrong place.
They're asking for the moon, and I don't think we need to be that desperate where we build something that we're going to regret for the rest of my life, and maybe even my kids' life.
The Maui Lanai ferry that ran aground off Ma'alaia Harbor will soon be towed to Honolulu. The 55-foot Expeditions 5 vessel has been stuck since Monday morning. The good news, though, the Coast Guard says the hull is intact and it has not been leaking fuel. DLNR tells us all that fuel has been removed and the company has hired a salvage expert to remove it and bring it to Oahu for repairs. Well, some of the state's top lawmakers are voicing their support for the governor's plan to convert short-term rentals into long-term and permanent housing for Maui residents and other places across the state. Senate President Ron Kochi, along with House Speaker Scott Saiki, joined Spotlight Now yesterday to speak on this issue and more.
Well, I'd like to talk about it in the positive, and he has put in some tax incentives for people who would convert or sell their homes to be put back into the permanent residence inventory. I hope that that's enough of a sweetener that we get the units that we need. I would still be concerned about constitutional taking issues and want to be sure that we're on solid legal ground as we go forward. Kauai County, and my district is Kauai and Niihau, was the most effective of the counties in enforcing at the county level violations of the vacation rental operations. Really, for us to get better compliance, we need to have the county enforcement in place, making sure that those who are operating are in the legally permitted and have the proper approvals to do it. There are a lot in operation that are illegal, and it's got to be in partnership with the counties across the state to ensure that these illegal operations are shut down.
And Mr. Speaker, if that's not enough of a sweetener, as he laid out, do you think that it would be appropriate to use an emergency proclamation to have some kind of a moratorium?
Yes, I agree with the Senate President that the voluntary compliance is always the best approach. You want to provide people with incentives to basically do the right thing, which is in this situation is to provide housing opportunities for people who don't have homes right now. And the governor shared some interesting data in his speech yesterday. He mentioned that there are over 20,000 short-term rental units on Maui, and that I think statewide we probably have more than 50,000 short-term rental units on the market. So, if we can address the short-term rental issue, then that could make a huge dent in our need for affordable housing in this state. And I get it that short-term rentals play a role within our overall economy because they provide opportunities for visitors who may not be in a hotel or want to be in a typical hotel room, but that comes at the expense of people here who need a home. And so I think it's always best. It is best to have a voluntary program, but if there isn't a response, an adequate response, then I really believe the governor should take a more stringent approach to this.
Now, if you want to, you can watch the full interview at hawaiinewsnow.com. Turning now to the latest Hokulea news, I recently spoke with our Moiliili Richardson, who was able to hop on board for a very special journey. Moiliili, tell us, what was that like?
Well, it was part of the Unity Gathering organized by Archie Kalepa, a leader of Lahaina. And according to the Polynesian Voyaging Society, he had asked Pole Master Navigator and Polynesian Voyaging Society President Nainoa Thompson to bring Hokulea to Lahaina. He said that they needed Hokulea's light to help bring us out of this storm. And so Hawaii News Now had exclusive onboard access as the canoe and 4 other voyaging canoes made their way from Ma'alaya to Lahaina. And Dylan, it was a historic moment to see Lahaina scarred from the ocean was certainly unique. You could smell the burn as the trade winds carried it offshore, but at the same time you could also see the sea of red from thousands of people who were part of this Unity Gathering. And so it was hopefully a healing vessel for many of those on board. The crew captain was Kala Tanaka. She's from Lahaina, and so she said it was an honor to be there. And also members of that very first maiden voyage of 1976 were also on board.
Wow. Anytime we get to go on to Hokulea, it is a special meaning, feeling. What did it feel like for you personally to be there witnessing that?
Well, I have to say chicken skin, Dylan. I also say that when Buffalo Keaulana, legendary waterman, was brought on board by his son Brian and grandson Nolan, he's 89 years old and he was brought in via a jet ski. And when he came on board, every crew member just gathered around him and gave him hugs and kisses. Everyone knew the significance of having him on board. He was not able to go to the trek in Alaska that we had been on recently, and so everyone is happy to see him. They hadn't been sailing together in several years, and so I asked Uncle Buffalo what was it like for him to be on board Hokulea and to be in Lahaina, and he just said he was so happy to be there, especially because he's with his brothers and sisters.
Beautiful. Let's talk about the bigger picture. You mentioned that trip to Alaska, and Hokulea was supposed to be on their multi-year Pacific-wide voyage, Moana Nui Akea, but they paused that to come home in light of the fires. Talk about that.
That's right. Well, the Polynesian Voyaging Society said after the August 8th wildfires, there were a lot of discussions happening with Hokulea leadership in terms of what to do. And so these discussions pretty much happened right after the Lahaina wildfires, but it was really this ask from Archie Kalepa, who is also a Hokulea captain, when he talked to Nainoa Thompson and said that we really need Hokulea to be home. And as you know, Hokulea has a very proud voyaging and sailing history, especially of people from Lahaina. So you've got Archie Kalepa, you've got Kala Tanaka. She is the daughter of Kalepa Babayan, also generations of Lahaina. So they wanted to honor these Lahaina navigators. They wanted to honor Lahaina. And you know, during times of crisis, the place that people need to be is at home. And so it was so amazing just to see people embrace, to come together for this unity gathering.
And last question, what's next for Hokulea? Do they plan on restarting that voyage? What's next for them?
Well, it's unclear when they will restart the voyage, but they do say that they will restart it at some point. You know, they call it va'a life. You kind of don't know where you're going, but then all of a sudden you get word and you have to go in that direction. And I also wanted to say, Dylan, one thing that we did see on this arrival into Lahaina was nature. I mean, yes, there has been so much devastation in Lahaina, but I have to say, we saw several pods of whales just breaching, their tails up in the air, their fins flapping. It was amazing to see. And the crew members were blowing their conch shells, and it was almost like there was this communication between the crew and these Hawaiian humpback whales. So it was wonderful to see nature and for people to feel alive again.
Beautiful. Definitely there is a sense of connectivity there between the march and, of course, Mother Nature. Mahealani Richardson joining the Hokulea on an exclusive trip to Lahaina. Thank you so much for your insight. Mahalo, Mahealani, for that first-hand account. Let's take you live outside now to Santa Monica Beach in California. It's about 63 degrees there. For me personally, a little cold to jump in the water. Stay tuned. Right after this short break, Guy Hoggy will have a look at your local forecast.
Now, already the winds are picking up to double digits. Windward side is expected to see the strongest winds, and because of those winds getting stronger, the National Weather Service has posted a wind advisory from Kauai to parts of Maui County. Winds are expected to run 20 to 30 with gusts upwards of 50 miles an hour. That could lead to spotty power outages. So county by county, we'll see different things today. More clouds, more showers for Kauai this morning. Those clouds and showers moving to Oahu late this afternoon through tonight. Drier for Maui County, but it will be windy. Maui County going to get the rain later tonight. And Hawaii Island, they'll be out of reach of the rain. Looks like those clouds and showers will dissipate before it reaches the far east end of the state. Surf's on the way down, but high surf advisories remain posted. Another similar size swell from the same direction, west-northwest, is expected in late tonight through tomorrow. So the high surf alerts might be extended. So we've got today as a day for our first alert, where we're going to have some gusty winds, scattered showers moving through the state. For Kauai and Oahu, it'll be much drier tomorrow. Those showers will likely linger and dissipate around Maui County tomorrow. Much drier as we head into the weekend. However, with the winds slowing down on Friday, another front's going to pick up those winds. It's going to be quite breezy this weekend with a few more scattered showers on Sunday.
Well, getting from California to Las Vegas could soon be even easier. Federal transportation officials have approved $2.5 billion in private bonds for a high-speed train that connects Sin City to Southern California. $3 billion was already approved by the Biden administration last month. Work on the 218-mile rail line is expected to start this summer, with the hopes of finishing it ahead of the 2028 Summer Olympics in LA. And a consumer alert, Ford is recalling nearly 1.9 million Explorer SUVs over a potential safety hazard. Documents posted today by the NHTSA say a trim piece that covers the roof supports close to the windshield can fly off if the clips that hold them come loose. The recall covers Explorer models from 2011 through 2019, and it comes after U.S. regulators opened an investigation into the problem last January following 164 consumer complaints. Ford initially decided against a recall, but later complied, saying it expects only 5% of the recalled vehicles to be affected by the problem. The motor company said it is aware of 568 consumer complaints and more than 14,000 warranty reports about the missing or detached parts, but it is not aware of any related crashes or injuries. Owners will be notified starting March 13th. In today's Good News Now, this story is for all you cat lovers or people who maybe aren't fans of cats. There was a cat fight smackdown at a cat show. CNN's Jeannie Mose has the story.
They get stroked, they get lifted, they get stretched, they get their tails touched. No wonder a 2-year-old named Ludwig von Beethoven lost his composure. He even slapped the judge. Veteran Judge Vicky Nye says she fondly refers to the video
as the Black Cat Smackdown.
The pedigreed show cats are accustomed to the commotion of a show like this one in Mesa, Arizona, organized by the Cat Fanciers Association. But Beethoven was a first-timer competing in the household pet category.
That one was just terrifying. When you see the eyes going like that.
And though Vicky gave him plenty of compliments,
beautiful coat, shiny, nice green eyes,
Beethoven turned on her, though the judge didn't even get scratched.
I need the owner now.
Contestant 177 in the background was freaked. Did you actually attack a judge? Vicky says she's only been bitten twice in 35 years of judging. Okay, so this slap may not compare with, say, the famous Oscar slap. Cats have gone ballistic on everyone from reporters.
The couple is going to have to come right
to a guy.
He's a very loving cat.
Trying to get a shelter cat adopted. So loving, he bit the guy perilously close to his crotch. As for Beethoven, so this cat did not get a ribbon.
No, that kitty was actually disqualified.
His owner said sorry, But for the feline Beethoven, the cat show seemed more cacophony than symphony. Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
Well, that was a little painful to watch. Let's send you some good news now involving a completely different animal, the beloved hippo, Fiona. Take a listen to this.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
That's right. It is Fiona's 7th birthday today. She is one of the Cincinnati Zoo's most famous and beloved residents. Now, back in 2017, Fiona was born 6 weeks premature, weighing only 29 pounds. But now she is 7 years old and thriving, and she is approaching adulthood and weighs more than 2,400 pounds. Happy birthday to Fiona. Let's send things live outside one more time for a look at Hilo Bay. As you heard Guy mention, they are going to be spared from some of the rain that we are expecting later today. Have a great day, everyone. Aloha.